Hello everyone, today we have a Nimrod build and a very specific build that is just Nimrod. That is going to be your biggest win condition. You might be able to sneak out cheeky ways every once in a while if the opponent just gets a really bad hand or they're playing a really uncohesive deck. But for the most part, the way that you're going to win is Shuri into Nimrod or Nimrod into Double Destruction and just spreading your power and pressuring every single lane on the board. And it's a very fun one. I'm not really big on destruction as like your own in-game because a lot of times it's very niche. If the opponent runs a Cosmo, if they run an armor, I'm not a fan of decks that just completely get derailed and can't really compete if the opponent has one or two particular cards. And this one does get derailed a bit by both armor and Cosmo, but as far as destruction ones go, I think this one is a pretty fun one. Because sometimes you're going to be able to offset the Cosmo with your Destroyer. The armor does get pretty tough, but then you can just stack that lane and then do a Destroyer in a different lane and still pressure and try to find ways to win, even if they have those counter tools. So it's not an instant loss if they have those. But you'll notice in this deck, we have the Chavez. That is for consistency driver because your biggest pieces of your win condition are going to be the Shuri and Nimrod. We have Iron Lad built in as a way to dig further into your deck to get another chance at a Nimrod, to get another chance at a destruction tool. So if you have Carnage plus Iron Lad on the last turn, sometimes Iron Lad's going to hit a Venom. Sometimes it's going to hit a Destroyer, and you're just really going to spread that power all across the board and surprise the opponent in the process. Overall, this is probably my favorite core for Nimrod. If you're seeing a lot of other people run destruction decks, then you might tech out the Chavez for a null, maybe even the Psylocke for a null. That way you're going to be able to play the null and get benefit from the cards that the opponent destroys as well. So if you keep the Psylocke and the null, you could potentially ramp into a null into an Arnim Zola to just really elevate that power that you're putting onto the board. But for the most part, if you're not seeing a very heavy presence of Destroy, the overall Nimrod package is one of the most fun decks in the game, and it's very frustrating for the opponent if they don't have a counter tool in place. Things like Storm, things like Kiln, Sanctum Sanctorum, those don't bother this deck at all. You're able to put power in there very consistently, and it's really tough for the opponent to find ways to win, even if they have cheeky things like Jeff or Captain Marvel. So we're going to jump straight into a couple of games. Thank you guys as always for being here. We are on our way to 38,000. Our next major channel milestone is going to be 40,000 subs, and the support that we've had recently has been phenomenal. We're almost triple the number of subs that we had last month, and we are only 12 days in. This is going to potentially be a record-breaking month for me sub-wise, competing with everything except for November, which is when the game first launched and we were doing beginner guides and we had a mass audience that just had never seen the content before. And this one is going to be going toe-to-toe with it, which is wild. Thank you guys for the continued support. If you're watching and you're not currently subscribed, please consider subscribing. It helps me out, and I love seeing our community grow and seeing that you guys are enjoying the content. And so we're going to be jumping into a couple of games. I hope you guys enjoy. All right, let's do this number. We're gonna do Nova. That is gonna rotate into the deck. So we're not actually destroying the Nova, but no matter what pulls out, I think we're fine in that the Venom is gonna be big. Venom is gonna rotate back into our deck. Again, we have several turns to try to pull that back out of the deck, so I think it's fine. The Chavez is actually beautiful because then we're gonna be able to draw into an actual resource on 6. Plus we have the extra 9 in, oh my god, into the Destroyer is nasty. There's no way that we can snap again here, right? Absolutely nastiness. All right, do we go ahead and... I mean, this is a big power. This is a big amount of power in mid already. I'm going to go Psylocke in mid. If we rotate into... I guess if we rotate into Deathlock, it's not great. It destroys the Destroyer. All right, we're not going to get too cheeky here. We're going to see what we draw next turn. Maybe next turn we do Iron Lad plus something. Maybe we hit him with an Arnim Zola somewhere. But this is what we're going to lean in on. Even if they have a Shang-Chi, I think we're perfectly fine. The Jessica Jones in the right lane, compared to what we have on the board, looks like nothing. We do get Shuri here. Oh, it's not the last turn either. So I'm just going to play Shuri out naturally. Maybe next turn we get Venom, and we can double up on the Venom that's already there. No, we get Carnage. Venom is left in our deck, so we might rotate into Venom if we use it. We could do Iron Lad. We could do Iron Lad here and then Carnage, and then it's going to flip into something. But I think we do Iron Lad here, and then we do Carnage to the left. That's going to make sure all of the lanes are full. I don't know that it's the best because at a certain point you lose some of that high roll. We hit too early, too quickly. Dread didn't stand a chance. Morag is another decent one. Now the biggest counters to this style of deck are going to be Cosmo and Armor and like a Professor X, making sure that you can't spread your power where needed. Those all can be really tough alternatives to this deck. Otherwise, you're in a really good spot. So if you're not seeing very much of those in like your games, this one can be pretty problematic. I've lost several gold runs to this deck. Maybe not this specific deck, but this idea of the deck. And it's never fun when it happens. I'm gonna go ahead and do Iron Lad. I know that we don't have to. We have the extra turn. Yeah, we're gonna wait a turn. This is only turn 3, so we know we don't need to rush it. Ooh, they storm Morag, which is fine. Again, whenever you're seeing a lot of storms, a lot of kind of locational control outside of the Professor X. Ooh, into Kiln is wild. All right, we can do this. We can always consolidate with a Venom into an Arnim Zola to push here and here. Oof, that is something. We can do the Destroyer next into the Arnim Zola, depending on what our Iron Lad hits. And they do snap because they're right. They have us in a tough spot here. They have us in a really tough spot. The Captain Marvel finally comes down. The Jeffrey himself comes down. Hopefully this hits Nimrod. No, it hits Shuri. Okay. I think as long as we do this, we're all right, yeah? We're going to go no nonsense. We're going to double up on the Shuri and then double up on the Venom. Then we're going to throw a Arnim Zola onto the board, hoping that it's enough to buffer the left and right. We have to be able to beat 13 power on the left, which is actually quite a task to overcome. We probably retreat out of this one. Ooh, the Magneto is big. I mean, 17 power on the Venom because the double up is pretty good. They have initiative though, so they could have a Shang-Chi. I kind of want to stick it out though, because if we can get to the left, if we can get to the right, then I think we can overpower their Captain Marvel. Shang-Chi is going to be the biggest thing that could hurt us here. Jessica Jones is not going to do it. Let's go ahead and throw our Arnim Zola to the left, throw it to the right. That should give us another 4. I'm not sure if you guys can hear that, but my dog is very badly dreaming. So we have the 18 and the 18. There's no way that Captain Marvel can overcome that with her move. We grab the quick and easy 4. Let's go ahead and finish off the next 2 so that I can go console my puppy. All right, they do retreat. Let me go wake up my puppy, make sure she's all right, and then we'll jump into the next one. All right, next up we have our dealer. Cards, our card dealer. Next up we have dealer. We have the Nexus as the starting location, which is kind of cool. We also have the Shuri into Nimrod, which is beautiful. We have a singular destruction in Carnage, which is also decent. As long as we draw into Venom or Deathlock or Iron Lad by the end of the game, we should be able to make sure that we get a double destruction on Nimrod, making the Nexus location very big in the process. And then if they want to do something cheeky like, I don't know, rip the location away, by all means, they're able to. Because we're going to have our power spread across the board regardless. We will focus a little bit more on the Nexus, but we'll have a lot of power over there. As long as they don't have a cheeky Professor X lockdown, we're in a really, really good spot here. So the Kitty Pryde comes down. I'm curious if it's going to be the deck that has been just absolutely blowing the ladder out of the water in oh no, I didn't mean to do Shuri here. Blowing the ladder absolutely out of the water with like the Shuri, the Craven, the Silk, which I did a version of, and then Lambie, to my understanding, like optimized it. I don't think he even knew I did a version that was close. So I think it was one of those things that it was very similar ideas, and they both worked out very, very well. But Lambie's definitely took on and popped off a little bit more. They're very similar. I think they do very similar things. But with the Spider-Man, it does look like that could be it. If we see a Craven, if we see a Silk, ooh, 2099 is wild. I haven't seen that one since release day, which is insane. This is a kind of cute variant. I'm not actually, I don't know. I like the artwork. I like the colors, like the bright colors. He's so small. He's so tiny there. Let's go ahead and do the Nimrod. If they move it, if they move the 2099 over here and destroy the Nimrod, great. By all means, help us spread the Nimrod's power. We do have our Carnage and our Venom, so we're going to be able to doubly destroy this Nimrod. It's going to be fantastic. And we're not able to snap again. Ooh, the 2099 comes in, and it can't destroy unrevealed cards, which is the beautiful thing. Otherwise, we would have feared for our Nimrod's life. But as is, they can move the 2099 once. That's fine. We get the 12 power Nimrod, which is 24 right now, but we're going to destroy it. We're going to destroy it again and just send 24 over here. Or do we even need to? Can we just... So this generates 1, 2. This generates 1, 2. So it's going to be a total of 4. We do this 1, 2, and then it's 1, 2. Just another way to kind of sneakily destroy that Nimrod power. But I do like the idea that Nimrod can absorb one of them. So let's go Carnage, and then we'll do Venom. 24, 26, 27 power in the left lane. Even if that's not enough, it should put us close enough to winning the other two that I think, whoa, that is not a lot of power on your final turn, my friend. Dealer, I don't know what kind of secret stash you've been getting in. We should vastly outpower that, I do believe. We have the Venom coming down. Going to send the second Nimrod over into the Nexus, giving us a lot of power across the board. I don't know how much higher, further, or faster you would need to go, Captain Marvel, but it would need to be quite a bit. We will take the quick and easy early 4. Let's go ahead and jump into the next one, see if we can continue the high-octane games. And the frustrating thing when you're playing against this version of this deck is with the Chavez, it feels like you draw into your Nimrod, at least your Nimrod, if not the Shuri Nimrod, so frequently that it gets very frustrating. I can tell you from playing against this deck, if I don't have an armor, a Cosmos, something to stop that spread, it gets very frustrating very quickly because they're able to snap so early on, knowing if they have their ideal line or not. And I just think, I don't know. This isn't my overall favorite archetype, but it's not a bad one. The Psylocke, since we do have the Shuri, is not going to do anything for us here. I'm going to play it anyways while I figure out what this left lane is. We don't know if it's going to be the Dark Dimension or if it's going to be Kiln. So maybe we have to hide all of our stuff into Dark Dimension. So the Shuri, the Nimrod, and then the Destruction. It is Kiln. That is kind of unfortunate. Let's go ahead and do... Actually, we can now do Nova and then Shuri. That is an unfortunate set of locations. We'll take it, though. We'll absolutely take it. And they do have the Hulkbuster, so I'm thinking that Dealer is running the version that is very similar to Lambie's version, which does do a lot of power. I really like the Silk in it. The Silk in it with the Craven kind of combination just pumps so much power so consistently that it's hard to anticipate where that power is going to go as well. The bad thing here is that we are only going to get one Destruction. So that is... Ooh, okay. Whew. Had Spider-Man went into mid, we wouldn't have been able to do the Destruction on our Nimrod. We would have had to do something else, like a Venom, and then hope for like an Arnim Zola from the Iron Lad or something silly like that. But as is, we're fine. So they do move our Wolverine to the left. We can beat 7. We can beat 3. Add a 5 to either of those from Captain Marvel. I think we still can win regardless. We are going to use Venom for the consolidation. And then I think this is another easy 4. The opponent, with knowing that we are operating on like a Shuri Nimrod Destruction style plan, unless they have a counter to it, probably would be safer on retreating here. I know it's a tough retreat, especially since they do have the win in Kiln and Kiln right now. Sounds like a bad law office. Have you been a victim of bad RNG? Come to Kiln and Kiln Law Associates Services. I don't know. They do use the Hulkbuster, hoping that it hits the Captain Marvel, which would have potentially given them the reach to win one of the other locations, but we're still going to have a lot of power in Dark Dimension, so if Captain Marvel had left, we would win mid, and so they could compete for one, or they would have been able to compete for one, but without it hitting Captain Marvel, they're not gonna be able to compete for any of the three. Okay, so they have the Kitty Pryde starting off. We have the Shuri, the Nimrod. So it's not fair sometimes how frequently this deck can pump out the Shuri Nimrod interaction. And so then it's very often going to be spreading 40 to 50 power across the board, which a lot of times is enough. Sometimes it's not going to be the high roll of things like Hela Resummon, the high roll of some of those more absurd decks, but it can pump out a lot very frequently. So the Jeff comes down. I'm actually going to do Psylocke into Stark Tower. Then we can do Shuri, and then we can do Nimrod. Nimrod's going to be 8. Nimrod's going to be 8 power. If we get a Nova at some point, we can throw that onto the board, and so then it'd bump up to 9 power Nimrods. We'll absolutely take it. We do have the triple destruction, so we don't need to worry about potentially not being able to destroy the cards we need. The Shuri's going to come down, the Nimrod's going to come down, unless they had a counter tool. When you see the counter tool, ooh, Spider-Man, rude. All right, so here's the thing. 3 interactions can get really tough if Shuri or locations get moved. Shuri should trigger in Throne Room because that's where she was technically revealed. But if we're unsure, we can hover our card over all of the locations. The one that she generates that little like shield on is going to be the one that gets the double power. So unfortunately, it's not going to be Stark Tower. We can still get the double power play out of her. It's just not quite as cool. And so we will get the double destruction on the last turn. So the Carnage, the Venom. Probably send both of them into the middle location. I think we'll do maybe Venom first. I don't know. They might be able to play enough power to avoid us being able to win with it, but we'll see. The Kitty Pryde. I'm not sure I agree with the Ghost Spider. The Ghost Spider for the 2099 I get, but it's so hard to enable some of your other plays. So we have the 24 power Nimrod right now. It's actually only 12, except for in the Throne Room. And you know, because of that, I think we're actually going to do Carnage. Carnage, whenever we send the Nimrod back, it'll be 24. Over here, we don't really need much more than that. That way we have a shot of competing for here. Potentially, probably not, but we at least get some decent power. And we're going to double drop the Nimrods over here. I don't know that there is a way to stop it. Even if they had a Killmonger that's already going to start spreading our Nimrods for us, it becomes really tough. Now, a Shadow King is a less optimal option, but can absolutely decimate sometimes. If you can get maybe a double trigger of Shadow King, can also do some pretty good things. The Shang-Chi comes down, destroys the Nimrod, just for a little bit of flair, I suppose. We're going to win mid. I think we win... No, we win mid and right. Or we should win mid and right. Oof. Rude. Rude throwing the Shang-Chi just for flair. We're going to send the Nimrod back. He's going to be 24 power because he'll be the highest one there. And we do secure the pretty quick, pretty consistent win. This deck just dominates certain decks. If there's no counters present, it's so hard to win against. We're going to go ahead and end the video there. I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to give it a like and a comment down below. As always, this has been TLSG. Later, guys.